Leviticus. You wouldn't think it would be as interesting as it actually is. What's up, everybody? My name's Sarah Kay, and if you just clicked on this video randomly, this is a special series called What is the Bible? We are on episode 10 of our What is the Bible series. So welcome back in. Glad you have joined me thus far. But if this is the first video you've ever clicked on for our What is the Bible series, you've missed a lot. So go back to episode 1 and go all the way through in order. Last time we chatted, we were in the book of Exodus, which is the second book in the Bible. And this week, we are moving on to the third book in the Bible. And the second, third, and fourth book of the Bible, which is Exodus, Leviticus, and Numbers, are actually very closely related. So this is kind of a continuation of Exodus. In fact, we're going to read a little bit from Exodus today. So, understanding Leviticus. Okay? If you have a Bible, open it up, and in Leviticus, third book of the Bible, you're going to see what appear to be a long list of rules. Because that's exactly what it is. It's a long list of rules. So before we jump into Leviticus, we have to understand why Leviticus is even here. Why does Leviticus exist? Why are we reading the laws of these ancient Israelites? This book looks like it just contains an ancient, outdated system of rules, laws, and regulations for people that do not exist anymore. We're going to dig a little deeper into our understanding of Leviticus before we even crack the book open. To understand why Leviticus, we're going to go back to Israel. The guy Israel, not the nation Israel. The guy Israel, remember, is also known as Jacob. So Jacob had 12 sons. And by Leah, he had Reuben, Simeon, Levi, ding, 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 Levi, Judah, Issachar, and Zebulun. By Bilhah, Jacob had the sons Dan and Naphtali. By Zilpah, he had the sons Gad and Asher. And by Rachel, he had the sons Joseph and Benjamin. So those are the 12 sons of Israel, aka Jacob. These 12 men grew families into the 12 tribes of Israel, the man and the nation, Israel. And then these 12 tribes grew into the nation of Israel while in Egypt for 400 years. And that's how we got from coming into Egypt to the many that left Egypt in the last book in the Exodus. So from these 12 tribes, there are 3 tribes that kind of stand out a little bit in our story here. The first tribe is the tribe of Levi. And this is the tribe that Moses belongs to. It is loyal. The Levi tribe is loyal to God in Exodus 32:29. When the rest of Israel begins worshiping a golden calf, the tribe of Levi does not do that. So the tribe of Levi is the first tribe that stands out a little bit. The second tribe that stands out from the rest of the 12 is when Israel rejects the promised land / Moses and what Moses is trying to do. Caleb from the tribe of Judah remains loyal to God and to Moses. You can find this in Numbers 13. And then the third tribe that stands out is when Joshua from the tribe of Ephraim is loyal in Deuteronomy 31:7-8, and then eventually God chooses him to lead Israel. So we have 3 tribes out of the 12 tribes from the 12 sons of Jacob that kind of are a little bit special here at the beginning. Then The tribe of Levi is even further singled out in Deuteronomy 18, when instead of land, the tribe inherits the responsibility for God's temple and worship. We also read about this in Numbers 3. I'm going to read that now for us. So in Numbers, if you want to follow along, I know we're talking about Leviticus in this episode, but we're about to read from Numbers, and I promise I'll wrap it up, okay? It's going to make sense as we go along. We're in Numbers chapter 3, and I'm going to read just verses 5 through 10 here. Numbers chapter 3, verse 5. The Lord spoke to Moses, "Bring the tribe of Levi near and present them to the priest Aaron to assist him. They are to perform duties for him and the entire community before the tent of meeting by attending to the service of the tabernacle." They are in the tabernacle. Reminder of what the tabernacle is. It was a movable structure, a movable tented structure that was the sanctuary of the Jews in the desert, the Israelites leaving Egypt. They built this sanctuary and they took it everywhere with them. That was the tabernacle. Verse 8, they are to take care of all the furnishings of the tent of meeting and perform duties for the Israelites by attending to the service of the tabernacle. Assign the Levites to Aaron and his sons, and they have been assigned exclusively to him from the Israelites. You are to appoint Aaron and his sons to carry out their priestly responsibilities, but any unauthorized person who comes near the sanctuary is to be put to death. Hold on to your hat here. Okay, we're going backwards again. Numbers chapter 1, verse 47. Starting there, this is what that says. My heading says, duties of the Levites. But the Levites were not registered with them by their ancestral tribe. For the Lord had told Moses, do not register or take a census of the tribe of Levi with the other Israelites. Appoint the Levites over the tabernacle of the testimony, all its furnishings and everything in it. They are to transport the tabernacle and all its articles, take care of it, and camp around it. Whenever the tabernacle is to move, the Levites are to take it down. And whenever it is to stop at a campsite, the Levites are to set it up. Any unauthorized person who comes near it is to be put to death. And then it says how the camp of the Israelites are set up, and the Levites are supposed to be in the middle of that camp of all of the tribes. All of the tribes are set up in a certain way. The tabernacle's in the middle of all the tribes. The Levites are in charge of the tabernacle. Why are we talking about the Levites? Leviticus is from the Levites. I hope you've been able to kind of grasp that. So Levites are in charge, as we just read, of the tabernacle. And reminder, the tabernacle is the sanctuary of the Jews that they're carrying around with them in the desert. The Levites are in charge of putting it up. The Levites are in charge of taking it down. The Levites are in charge of carrying it. The tribe of Levi are the priests of the tabernacle. Not all of them, but some of them are priests. So now that we just read from Numbers, I know you're asking, I know you're saying in your head, Sarah Kate, we are skipping around. Numbers comes after Leviticus. So what sense does it make for us to learn about the tribe of Levi in Numbers, but the book of Leviticus comes before the book of Numbers? How did, what? Confusion, right? It is kind of strange if you think about how all these things were given to Moses and the sons of Aaron and appointees of the tribe of Levi. But to understand why this is, why we're reading this in Numbers, but we have Leviticus before Numbers, we have to go back to Exodus chapter 28, where Aaron is called upon to be the priest of the Israelites. So let's go there now. We're skipping all the way back the other way. We're going to Exodus. We're going to Exodus chapter 28, verse 1. Says this, have your brother Aaron, this is God speaking, straight to Moses. So Aaron is Moses's older brother. Moses, God said, Moses, have your brother Aaron with his sons come to you from the Israelites to serve me as priests. Aaron, his sons Nadab and Abihu, Eleazar, and Ithamar make holy garments for your brother Aaron for glory and beauty. You are to instruct all the skilled artisans whom I have filled with the spirit of wisdom to make Aaron's garments for consecrating him to serve me as priest. Talks about the garments they're supposed to make and what color they're supposed to be, and how Aaron and his sons are going to be the priests of the nation of Israel. Okay? So, now, Exodus comes before Leviticus. Here's a hint as to the tribe of Levi being the priesthood, Levitical priesthood. Now, really quick, to recap, Aaron and Moses are brothers. Aaron and Moses are brothers. Aaron and Moses' dad is Levi. Levi's dad is Jacob, aka Israel. So there's your line down to Levi, okay? Down to the way this is called the Levitical priesthood, because Aaron's dad is Levi, and he is called upon to be the priests of the Israelites. We're going to take it actually another step back, okay? We can actually take God's plans for this Levitical priesthood all the way back to the deathbed prophecy of Jacob. And this is in Genesis chapter 49. So let's go there. Follow me to Genesis chapter 49. This is when Jacob is about to die, and he gives prophecy about his 12 sons. And this is what he says about Levi. Genesis 49, verses 5 through 7 say this. Simeon and Levi are brothers. Their knives are vicious weapons. May I never enter their council. May I never join their assembly. For in their anger they kill men, and on a whim they hamstring oxen. Their anger is cursed, for it is strong, and their fury, for it is cruel. I will disperse them throughout Jacob and scatter them throughout Israel. In some translations, it alludes a little bit more to how the tribe of Levi will not have any land. So, here we are in Leviticus, third book of the Bible, Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, and here's what's going down. God has called upon Moses, and we talked about that in a couple of the last sessions about Moses' call to lead the people out of Egypt. And God has instilled very early on this priestly task to the tribe of Levi, and the head of the tribe of Levi right now is Aaron. He is supposed to be the priest for the Israelites, and because that is his tribe, then the Levites are the keepers of the tabernacle. They are the priests. They do a lot of things, actually. The reason we read Genesis 49 just now is because this fulfilled, later on we're going to see that because the Levites are instructed to be priests for the Israelite people, they don't inherit any land. The 12 tribes, the Levites don't get that promised land that Israel was promised, because they are instead instructed to be priests for God. And this will come up again, but this is the first mention of God's treating the Levites a little bit differently and giving them a different charge, is this deathbed prophecy from Jacob. Okay, now we know the lineage of the tribe of Levi, where the tribe of Levi came from, and how they came to be the keepers of the tabernacle. And now we're asking ourselves, what's with all the rules, right? I ask myself that. When I open the book of Leviticus, it doesn't seem to, I cannot connect to the book of Leviticus because it's just a lot of rules. It doesn't make that much sense to us. Why are we reading about so many rules in the Bible? To understand why Leviticus reads like just a giant rule book, we have to put ourselves in the sandals of an Israelite for a little bit, okay? So imagine you are an Israelite slave in Egypt. And finally, God sends this cool guy, Moses, to help free you and your family and the rest of the Israelite people and all of the tribes of Israel, which, remember, I think we said this 3 videos ago, the entire tribes of the Israelites total about 3 million people. Finally, Moses comes through, and you guys finally get to leave Egypt and leave slavery and get out of slavery. But, big but, when you leave Egypt, you leave your house and you leave any sense of structure whatsoever. You begin to wonder to yourself, I know the slavery of us, making bricks and doing all these things for the Egyptians, it was terrible. But at least we had a home. At least we had food. And they begin to say things like this. It might have actually been better to be a slave. This is not my opinion. They say this in the Bible. Why did we leave Egypt? At least we could eat. At least we had, and I think the main point behind that is, at least we had structure in Egypt. You are now, instead, you left your home, you left all the structure, you're wandering out in the desert with absolutely no direction at all. You don't know where you're going or why, except that you just left Egypt. Now imagine a group of millions of people wandering the desert with no direction. No literal direction, no figurative direction. They don't know the purpose now. So what happens when millions of people have no direction? I am imagining it would be utter chaos. Complete and utter chaos. So because of this, God helps Moses and gives Moses these guidelines for the Israelites on how to dress, what to eat, how to worship, how to move about the land, the instructions for the tabernacle. God gives Moses these laws. These laws are not meant to be an oppressive rule book from God. Instead, they are meant to provide structure for a very large group of people wandering around in a structureless, directionless world. So in Leviticus, which is actually a continuous of the narrative from Exodus, and the narrative continues into Numbers, in Leviticus, the Israelites have a book that helps them maintain order as a group of people. These laws provide regulations for worship. They provide regulations for ceremonial cleanliness, for morality, for instructions for holy days, and so many more things. The point of Leviticus here, to the Jewish people who are reading it, is to provide the wandering Israelites with concrete ways to seek to be holy for God that they could practice and instill in their lives. Concrete ways that they could practice to be more holy. One reason why these laws seem overly detailed and extremely severe to us is because we experience the redemptive power of Jesus Christ. So our free salvation as disciples of Christ gives us the opportunity to not have to rely on sacrificial laws and understanding all of these things that are written in Leviticus. And instead, we're relying on Christ's redemptive power. The second reason why the book of Leviticus seems a little intense is because we also don't have firsthand experience of a society where polytheistic religions were prevalent. And I'm talking beliefs that the Israelites probably would have seen or heard about in cultures near them, beliefs that endorsed drunken defilement and bloodshed and skinning people alive and much, much worse terrible things. They would have known about those beliefs in cultures near them, in regions near them. So if you had witnessed cultures around you and belief systems around you that killed people for sport, then laws about how to kill animals for sacrifice on an altar for atonement for your sins really would not seem that bad, would it? It would not seem that intense in comparison. And let me just say, any Jewish person traveling around with Moses in the desert reading Leviticus would not have thought, gosh, this is really intense. They would have understood exactly why these laws were in place. The actual laws of Leviticus can be divided into two different groups. The first group is the apodictic law. Apodictic here meaning beyond dispute, like fact. Apodictic law contains both positive and negative commands. The second group is the causistic law. And these are the statements that say if, then. So for example, Leviticus 2 verse 7 says, if your grain offering is prepared in a pan, then it is to be made of fine flour with oil. So, causistic law. That is a breakdown of Leviticus. Next week, episode 11, we are not leaving Leviticus yet. We are going to talk about, first of all, we're going to talk a little bit more about the 12 tribes of Israel. Then we're going to dig into a little bit more of the Levitical law and the Levitical priesthood and why priests are in charge of laws. Okay? So we're going to dig into that next episode. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for joining me on this awesome journey through the Holy Word of God. I hope you are learning as much as I'm learning. Make sure to share this video with your friends. Give it a thumbs up there at the bottom of the page. And I will catch you next week for understanding more about Leviticus.